Lions Rock Productions.
This is Jay Moore.
This is Greg Proops.
This is Jeffrey Reddick.
This is Dexter from The Offspring.
Nathan East.
This is Sebastian Younger.
This is David Labb.
This is Stuart Copeland.
This is Mick Gillette.
I'm Krista Verno.
This is Ryan Sick.
Hey, this is John Leon Guerrero.
Hey, I'm Mark Fowley.
Hey, and this is Pete A. Turner.
This is Pato Milo from Dead Cat Hat, and you're listening to The Break It Down Show.
And now, The Break It Down Show with John Leon Guerrero, Mark Valley, and Pete A. Turner.
This is a long time coming. We've been trying to arrange this for a while.
I know. We were in a tiny little pub when you saw our band playing.
Yeah.
There were probably about 10 chairs in that booths, or what do you call it, stools.
I was just telling Nico about how we met, and he said, and the bar's called Cullen's. They're our friends, so we can say, yeah, it's Cullen's. You should visit Benicia and go to Cullen's. It's tiny. I said that you and Alan were playing in Cullen's, and he went, in Cullen's? And I said, yes. In Cullen's.
Inside. Sometimes you'd get up on the bar.
It's tiny.
Stand onto the bar.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we'd go there, and we'd have our, sometimes a whole 5-piece band there. We'd have our drummer, Steve. Say hi, Steve.
Hi, Steve.
Steve Glover.
Steve's here?
Yeah, he's here sitting
Glover. He'd be shaking, whatever percussion
shaking
he
something.
had. Yeah. At bass, guitar, and accordion. So we'd have the 5 of us all huddled up in a corner just playing tunes all night. A lot of covers, our originals, whatever we wanted to do.
Yeah. Well, I think why we hit it off was that, number one, I was just pissed drunk. No. I'd had a few drinks, but we were having a great time. It was SantaCon that year.
Oh, God, yeah. Wall to wall.
Wall to wall Santas. And
boobs in my face.
You guys had great... The covers that you were doing, you guys had clever arrangements. The instrumentation was neat. Steve's over there shaking something, and sometimes he's hitting it against his head. There's just everything about it was just a good time.
Yeah.
And so we immediately bonded. And I think, if I remember this correctly, we had just recorded maybe our 3rd episode of the show. And I hit you up, and I was like, listen, we just started this podcast, and you guys, we'd love to have you on as a guest. And I remember you and Alan both were like, hey, that sounds great. And then we now getting around to it.
And you've had some amazing guests over the 220-something shows now.
Yeah. And we continue to have amazing guests.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you know what? Actually, speaking of guests, just for a second, you had Jeff Campitelli on.
Oh, yeah.
Just a few weeks ago
we
or
love
so.
Jeff. Mm-hmm.
He's a sweetheart. And I'll tell this little story about Jeff. We grew up in Danville, and he didn't know me. I was a few years younger than him.
Okay.
But we went to the same high school.
Wait a minute. You're a few years younger than Jeff?
Yeah.
Jeez,
he's a good-looking
you look
guy.
like hell.
He's a good-looking guy, man.
He is. He's held up very nicely, Jeff. Good job.
He's the drummer for what's his face?
Joe Satriani.
Satriani.
Yeah.
And there he is in our little town, Benicia, playing with Steph Burns when he's in town.
Yeah.
With other guys and
killing, by the way.
That's Campitelli.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And I grew up watching his band, The Squares, and all of his buddies that he hung out with. I used to see him at the Keystone.
You actually watched The Squares?
Yeah, I saw The Squares. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when I met him in Benicia, I had to shake his hand, and I kind of overdid it. I was all excited. Hey, I'm from Danville. And I started listing all these kids that I grew up with in Danville. You know? And he's looking at me like, I don't know any of those people. But he knew a few of them. But Danville days were cool.
He resisted. I was like, Jeff. In fact, that's the last time I saw you.
At that
night
show?
That we were watching Jeff.
Yeah.
And I said, Jeff, told him all about the show, and I said I'd love to have you on. And of course, Jeff, he's a big ball of humility. He said, I don't know if I have anything to say, and I definitely don't have an hour's worth. What are you going to do with an hour? So he came over, and when we finished an hour, we were just and that's when I met Joe Satriani.
Oh, a whole other show.
We hadn't even gotten to, maybe we got a little further than that. No, I'll take that back. And that's how we recorded the first album. And he's done something like 20 albums, but he didn't have an hour in him, or so he thought.
Yeah, right.
And by the time we had finished an hour, we had only gotten as far in his career as the first Satriani album. So, we had a great time. We had a great time.
He's a cool dude.
He's a really cool dude.
He's seen us play. He's seen us over at the Townhouse.
Yeah.
We're just a little regional band here in the Bay Area, our little Dead Cat hat. We used to play down in San Francisco and Oakland, and we'll get back to that again eventually. But lately, we've been having a lot of fun just in our little backyard here.
And you've recorded an EP.
We have. Well, our first album was 2012, and it's called Station Change, and it's a full-length 10-track album. Steve here played drums, and we had, at that time, accordion, bass, guitar. And it's kind of a straight-up indie rock record with accordion.
Yeah.
Little twists and turns here and there.
That's a twist and turn all by itself.
Yeah. Well, people are always
you can go
surprised.
into crazy arrangement land.
Well, the accordion would actually... Well, the whole history of the band. Let me start with the history, and then I'll catch up to the EP, if you don't mind.
I just want to interject that we're drinking Tropical Torpedo IPA. Tropical Torpedo, which was, oddly enough, my nickname in the Navy. Anyway.
And ice water.
Yeah.
I'm drinking ice water.
It's a nice citrus taste.
We hear the ice clinking, which on this show often means a lot of things. Today it means Steve's drinking ice water.
We're lucky to have Steve as our designated driver pretty
it?
much all the time.
Yeah.
I got bored with alcohol a few years ago.
Okay.
That's all.
That's good.
Not like Steps program.
All right.
So the band initially started as a two-piece. Alan and I were going to do kind of Americana versions of our original music, and some of it was already kind of a country twang Americana, and some of it wasn't, but we took older songs that he used to have, and we just bent it into an Americana sound. And as a duo, we played gigs for about 6 months, so we even set up a tour to Seattle, where he had lived for about 10 years. And that's when we met Bonnie, who back then was our accordion player. She worked in the music store downtown and heard us playing in the music store. She said, "You guys, I'll be right back." She just left us with the store. She ran home. She comes back 5 minutes later with this accordion and just starts jamming with us. And we're like, this is great.
Right. She ran home to get her axe.
Yeah. So the band Dead Cat Hat really kind of had its roots then in a sort of an Americana country type thing.
Yeah. That's funny.
Well, I mean, I don't know. The name bothers my friend, who's upset with me all the time about, I just can't get past the name, man. He thinks about dead cats, and that's it for him.
Yeah.
But the idea was,
it does sort of conjure the image of a...
We also can't get past the name because it's our name.
Yeah. Right.
Back then, times were tough.
It's a different kind of get past, but you can't.
It was 2010. It was a recession, and people said, "What kind of music do you play?" Well, it's recession rock. It's it's what we're doing right now.
Wow.
And times are tough. We got the banjo and this acoustic guitar. Fired the drummer, no bass player. Just stripped down. You find a dead cat, you make a hat out of it. You just got to be sort of threadbare.
I see.
I don't know. That's how we started. It was a country theme. Accordion player's fiance at the time, Jay, joined our band. We had a different drummer then. That was a little before Steve, and then we eventually had Steve. So prior to making the album Station Change, we were this sort of countryish Americana outfit, 5-piece band with accordion, and then we started stepping into more of an indie rock sound. And somehow the accordion allowed us to do that, where it created this sort of common thread.
I see.
Where we could switch from one genre to another, even as we got into more funky music. And she's playing on our current EP, although she doesn't play with us live anymore. The accordion, people would come up to us and they would go, "It's amazing you can play all these different styles of music, but it still holds together." And I said, "It's the accordion." She just kind of
she's the glue.
Yeah. As I said, she kind of got smart and said, "I'm done with these guys." So she's left. But we kept the bass player.
Yeah.
She had
we made our album Station Change. We followed that up with a live album, which was a nod to Station Change. A couple of the songs that were from that album we played live, and then we threw in some country songs, Americana songs. The idea was, let's kind of be done with this Americana roots music. But before we're totally done with it, let's just put it on a live record. I don't want to go into a studio and record these things for real.
Yeah, but let's
be
put
nice
them
to
down.
capture them.
I'm glad that you thought you had that thought, because we do need to capture things for posterity. And as you say this stuff and you tell this story, and I'm thinking, okay, we're talking about an Americana type band with an accordion, but I'm still having a hard time conjuring what that is. So for our listeners, they're probably sitting out there going, "What does that mean exactly? What does that sound like?"
It's not as
what
weird
are
as
the
it sounds.
influences of an Americana type of band that's got an accordion? take out the accordion for a minute and let's just address the Americana description.
Oh, a lot of those songs would just be sort of a 1-4-5, 3-4 chords in a song. No real jazzy chords, and it's kind of a folky Americana kind of vibe. We had a song called "Ain't No Kind of Good Love," which was sort of about the Bill and Sookie. What was it? The vampire show on HBO. Those
True Blood.
True Blood. Yeah, that's right.
Hey, I'm useful.
Thank you. That's right. We had a song about the, bad love going on. And I don't know. Does that help describe it? It's kind of a country twang, swampy, Americana kind of vibe.
Okay.
So Americana.
Mm-hmm. He keeps using that
Give
word.
him some bands because he's looking for,
gosh,
sort of, would it be
country-ish?
Young?
I mean, there's country and then there's country.
Right.
And I don't know how to get my head around it. Like if the Stones...
So when you say swampy, it's more blues. It's more rooted in
trasher.
Yeah. Okay. It's like it's not Nashville. It's a little more Muscle Shoals.
More south.
Okay.
More Alabama, Louisiana.
A little more, yeah.
Like True Blood.
Gotcha. So now let's introduce the accordion, because when you put the accordion in, sonically speaking, you can... You've stepped into Zydeco territory.
Yeah, but we didn't. No,
it
wasn't like a
it wasn't a Zydeco thing.
On our recordings, people thought it was a synthesizer.
Okay, great.
Wow, that patch is really cool. It's not a patch.
That's not a patch. That's Bonnie, and she's got a squeeze box.
Yeah.
It's real.
So,
it's made with wax.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
wax.
You should have seen what we had to do to sample that thing. So, as you started to depart from that sound, you got a little more indie rock, and a little more, and
it just fell together
some
pretty
more
naturally. Really, I mean, most people wouldn't necessarily identify that there's an accordion in the band.
Okay,
it doesn't sound like accordion music.
Yeah.
In fact, I used to say that to people. We're a rock band with accordion, but it's not accordion.
You don't do anything in 3/4. You don't do anything.
Right.
Okay.
No. Where was I? So we had our first record, our live record. I think you met us probably before the live record. I know it was a few years ago. And then we quit playing Cullen's, a couple of years. What that was really about was just a fun place for us to hang out, and we could just throw up whatever covers we wanted to play.
They weren't restricting you for anything. And we were loving it because you guys that night were playing a lot of 80s covers.
Yeah, a lot of bands don't, unless they're an 80s tribute band.
Right. But it wasn't a tribute to the 80s.
Right.
It was just, let me take these arrangements, let me take these tunes, let me take these lyrics, and let me adapt it to, that's what we liked about it, that you adapted it to, it was like an original band reimagining these written compositions.
That's right.
We still like to go into it. I like the girl songs from the 80s.
Okay.
That's what I call it. Like the Blondie and the Go-Go's and stuff like that. And this guy is singing, Blondie song or a Madonna song. What's the Madonna song?
It's not a Madonna song anymore, though, because you pull the arrangement apart and you put it back together, and now it's a Pato song.
Yep.
Or a Dead Cat Hat song.
And or a Dead Cat Hat song, but with Pato's voice, and he's a Material Girl. So
yeah. And he's not changing the lyrics.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is kind of
and that's kind of clever about it too, because you still have the nostalgia, and you get to sing along. And I always liked I don't know why, but I always get a kick out of somebody who is the other gender singing a song and not changing the lyrics at all.
White Stripes does that.
Yeah.
That guy.
I like
Jack
that.
White.
Jack
he
White.
does that sometimes.
There was a girl, she's the bass player, and she sang the Bill Withers tune. Who is he and who is
Michelle
he?
Cello.
I can't say her name.
That was a brilliant
I never heard
record.
that.
Record was amazing. So funky.
I like both of those things, and I didn't know that happened.
Right. And she's a lesbian.
Well,
and so her
She wants to know.
adaptation of the song was, who is he? And what is he to you? And it gave that song an additional dynamic.
Right.
And she
It wasn't just being true to the lyrics.
funky. You're right.
Right.
Man, that girl is funky.
Oh, yeah.
I love everything she does. We've had the pleasure of having some of our musical heroes on the show, like you mentioned. And when you get to pull apart songs with people who are pulling apart songs that you've loved for a long part of your life, we had Rick Marotta on the show, and that guy's my hero. I love him so much. And he talked about this James Taylor song called Hour That the Morning Comes, which is my favorite song of his. And when he brought that up, he talked about in the recording process how he's always way back on the backbeat. Like his approach to playing a song is how far can I pull the backbeat back? And that's become his signature, and he's so relaxed when he plays. So when you hear a recording that's got a signature like that, I think when I listen to the songs that you sent me, the whole EP, there's a signature. Can you identify it that easily? Can you say, this is how I play, more. And this is my...
Can you help us?
Can I help you identify
that?
Well, the songs, they snap along. They're kind of, poppy and peppy.
Okay.
There's an awful lot of instruments. They're layered.
Yeah, there's a lot of layers.
Recording on a laptop today, there's no limit.
Yep.
So you have to kind of be an editor.
Uh-huh.
We just keep throwing things, whatever sticks.
Yeah. That's kind of neat about the recording process and how it's changed.
Yeah, that's how I've been doing it for the last 10 years. I mean, I guess when I was a kid, I had a reel-to-reel tape deck, and I could bounce ping pong back and forth.
Yeah.
And make little, it used to be
for a little while.
You used to be able to buy these records.
Once you got to like 32.
Yeah, no,
you started to really. No, really, once you got to like 6.
Do you remember they used to sell these things called drum drops? It was an album of just drums with like an ABA type, configuration or format. And I'd throw one of those up, and I'd play my bass and my guitar, and I'd go back and forth.
Yeah.
But you're right, you run out after a while. And the way we record is, if I'm making a new song, I'll throw up in Logic, some drum track, and play a bass line along with it and come up with an organization, and then I'll write some lyrics and I'll start doing some guitars and whatever. And then we'll have the recording in the drummer's ears, and he'll play his drums along with that song.
I see.
And sometimes those recording sessions are the first time he's ever heard the tune. So in that afternoon or evening, he's coming up with the part on the spot.
Yeah.
And sometimes we've even re-recorded, because then we put all the bass, guitar, drums, sometimes accordion, horns, whatever. We put those on there. And then we might play that song for another year, and he might come back and say, the way I do it now, it's totally different than how we recorded it.
Let me come back.
And we have retracked the drums, which means we have to retrack everything else, just because, you get as close to a kind of a clock or a click track, but things drift, and when the drums get redone, a lot of the music drifts, and so we just redo it. It's so easy and free to record that way.
Yeah,
that describes the process of what we do as far as the signature or the sound.
Do you think that leads to a signature all by itself? Just that you employ that process?
I don't know. I think we bring. Well, I do want to say this. The guys in the band are each walking encyclopedias when it comes to their background, their breadth of music and understanding. I thought I was kind of badass at what I knew, and then I can't keep up with them. They have conversations about all these bands I've never heard of from the 60s and 70s and 80s.
We can't keep up with you either.
Well, that's because we're in our mid-20s. So anyway.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. But I think we all bring a lot to it. And nobody ever says no to anything. And I think what you hear in the songs are probably some snippets or some familiarity. Or I don't think we rip anything off. But, you might hear a sound that harkens back to something.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
There's a song I think of.
You can't shuck influence.
Yeah.
Right.
That's just how it works.
It's coming out no matter what.
Yeah. And, for instance, I was listening to, let me see. I'll give you a for instance. I was listening to Can't Live Without It. Okay. And I heard the horn intro from the Funky Drummer.
Oh, uh-huh. Okay.
And I heard some... What else did I hear in there?
What is that? Is that Funky Drummer? Oh, it's really quick. Stabs. Right?
Yeah.
I was trying to put together a playlist that's just songs that have used the Funky Drummer. Like Mama Said Knock You Out.
Sure.
And that Sinead O'Connor song. And I was listening to Funky Drummer.
Straight out of Compton.
Wow, this song is amazing.
Yeah,
right. So I'm only 3
The list
songs
goes
in,
on and on. You could really... How far have you gotten?
I'm like, that's like 3 more I can put in because I just thought of them. George Michael had a song. I don't remember which one it is.
Huh.
But they did this thing. They used to do this where it would be really slow and it'd be a ballad.
Right.
There, I did a
and
human
they'd
beatbox
slow it
on
way
the show.
down and put that reverb on the snare. I can hear that in my head. Just when you did that, I could hear it. I know exactly what you mean.
I used to sit there for hours trying to, like, how do you play? How's he playing that? And then I realized, oh, they slowed it down.
Yeah.
There's a lot of talk about that.
He's like his hi-hat technique is so amazing.
Yeah.
He's got little
playing it with his one hand.
And it's scooping and closing and like every time.
That's a guy who's
done
miles. You know, by the time they recorded that was, you can't, your left
What's his
foot
name?
and your, Clyde Stubblefield.
That's it.
Your left hand and your left foot and your right hand are behaving as a single unit. And, you know, just those little I mean, he's making his hi-hat talk.
This song made me do some crazy stuff that I don't think I ever did.
Okay.
On the drum. That there's like a crazy offbeat hit to it that where I'm like, I have to really just give me a minute. It was like the Ray Manzarek and the Doors movie was that you guys go out there, I got to figure this out. I had to go like, I'm gonna get this.
I need a minute. Yeah.
I'm gonna get that crazy offbeat thing to happen because that works so good with this. Anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I also heard a little Steely Dan. I heard
you could
Jamiroquai.
deconstruct this song. I love those guys.
Yeah.
You could deconstruct it.
Yeah.
There's an upright bass and flute section in the middle. It's actually it's a guitar solos playing, and then I played some upright bass with a bow, and our bass player played a flute. And that to me has a kind of like a Jaco Pastorius sound. Like he did his live band, and they had kind of like a small big band. But yeah, you could take this apart in all kinds of ways. Actually, that song. Now you mentioned it. The organ that's on that song was played by a trombone player in our area, Mike Rinta. Mm-hmm. He was a skinny kid growing up in Danville, like I was.
He's a big guy.
Yeah, he's not a skinny kid anymore. And I came to his house.
Neither are you, Pato, but that's okay.
We're all takes one to know one.
I came to his house. I wanted to track some bone that day, and we arranged it. And I also wanted him to do the organ. He goes, I'm not an organ player. I'm like, yeah, you are. You are. You absolutely are. I don't know.
Are you playing the organ? That makes you an organ player.
I got him playing it. And
okay.
He was trying to come up with a part, and he goes, I'm going to go take a piss. Why don't you come here and play the organ for a minute?
If we haven't also acknowledged that he's a bad motherfucker on the trombone.
He is.
Yeah.
We should get him. Well, we actually tracked him on some bass bone on a couple other tunes.
Yep.
So he goes off to take a piss, and he says, "Go play my organ. See what what you come up with, and I'll think about it." And he goes, "The keys are kind of greasy." And I'm thinking, this is like a keyboard term for how the keys are going to be. I don't know what this means, And I sit down at the organ, and my fingers go swoosh.
And they were physically greasy.
Covered.
Like he had been eating ribs and playing the organ.
17 years of cooking, brisket and all kinds of junk in his little apartment there, and it just covered the organ. That's what he needs.
It's coating.
Mike, come on the Break It Down show. You know why? Because I love you.
He's great.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
and anybody who's got an actually greasy organ that didn't come.
Where are we going now? Here?
It's like Bud's Burgers on his organ. I got to see this organ. I'm like, what?
Right.
Look at the spots of oil everywhere.
Yes.
Wow.
I don't typically broadcast that I would like to see a man's greasy organ, but
there we go.
In this particular case, we're hoping that we have enough context. So let's see. What else did I hear on that EP? You know what? The Lincoln Town Car song.
Oh, the funky disco.
You know what I heard? Funky disco, yes. Mm-hmm. That's your favorite?
It's my favorite song. I think of the songs on the EP, definitely.
I might say the same. You know what I heard when that bass line came in? I heard the Style Council.
Oh.
And I
kind of a Motown.
Just don't hear enough of that old, Motown-ish kind of. Yeah. I mean, it's wholesome, but it's funky, but it's, it's a lot of but it's, and it's got a thing about it that's really very clean and very polished and at the same time very loose. I don't know how you pull that off, but,
Maybe it's the cuica.
That's
played the
super.
Queek on
It's
there.
It's really low in the
I
mix
promise
now.
it's just the bass line, and it's
And the
almost
drums.
like when you see a guy who's really comfortable in a suit.
Yeah.
Interesting.
You know what I mean? It's like, the guy's wearing a suit. He's got the, sure, he meets the dress code, but there's nobody in here as comfortable as that guy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
You
that'll
ever
be
see
nice
Guy
for the bass
Ritchie?
player to hear.
Guy Ritchie, he's the most
He's a
comfortable
smart
guy
guy.
in a suit.
He's a smart guy.
You see him, he's into wearing suits.
I got to say, our bass player is the best looking, best dressed guy in the band.
Oh, no. Jay's going to listen to this and he's going to be, what? Jay.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Jay's like fashion. I try.
He knows about everything. He knows about socks.
Alan and I, we try.
Okay.
But Jay doesn't have to try.
I
He
don't
doesn't
try.
have to try. He just does it.
I don't try.
They send him a box of cool clothes. He's probably got one of them
Is that
services.
true?
I'm just
Does he
joking.
belong to
I
the thing
really
where they
don't know.
send you the box of cool clothes?
I doubt
don't
it.
get
I
into
think they probably figure out what to do based on what he does.
Okay.
Yeah,
He's a sharp dude.
It's kind of like
Yeah.
that. It's like I know what I'm doing, kind of, but man,
He is very comfortable in a
He's
suit.
a guy
That's
who
so
can
funny.
He's so
do
comfortable
that
in a suit.
and be expressive.
I want to wear a suit and be that
Right?
comfortable.
A lot of people are like, ooh, I have to wear a suit. I guess I have to wear one of these shirts. And I'm not quite sure in this tie.
That
I'm
would be
so
me.
uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's me.
And then there's the guy who's like, no, you know what? I'm going with this pocket square because it sends a different message. And you're like, you're over here sending messages. I'm just trying not to have a camel toe.
I love suits, and I used to be in a swing ska band.
Yeah.
which is what we originated that shit. And anyways, that's a grumbly moment for me. But because
That's
it
worth
was like
talking about.
1993 and
You really did originate that stuff.
when nobody was doing
When
that.
the squirrel nut zippers were
before all that.
still on the teat.
I mean, before they
Before
had
the Rat
hits.
Pack resurgence.
Basically. We were like nobody, though. But wearing a suit to play live and with hot lights, it's not very fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can be as comfortable as you want walking around, and then you sit down at the drums.
Yep. Sitting down on the
your
drums in 10 pounds of
satiny-
wool.
A satiny green suit.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, okay.
Not exactly
shorts.
breathing.
2 songs, and then the jacket's coming off.
Yeah.
My shirt might come off next.
Now it's a party.
Yeah.
So-
not with me without a shirt. You don't want to see that.
What are your intentions for the EP? Are you
We're going to release it in a month or so. I don't have a hard date, maybe April Fool's Day, maybe 420, I don't know. But between now and then, I really need to get this music reviewed. I say we need to get this music reviewed by somebody that's going to listen to it and have something to say about it, kind of like what you're doing right now. I like when
I'd
people
say we're reviewing it already.
when people review a song in terms of its context, and I heard this and what it means and that kind of stuff, and I don't know where to start about finding someone. Anyway, right now is about trying to get some people to hear our music and maybe write up a review prior to the release, so that can all kind of happen together.
Okay.
And another part of your question, what do you do? What are our intentions? And we probably don't know what our intentions are with regard to right now. Do we press a CD? Is that even a word you press?
Yeah, is that a thing anymore?
Do you make CD with this
What's
music?
this?
Do you press vinyl? I don't think you press CDs actually.
No.
Physical media, you just etch them with lasers.
Do we etch a CD? Do we press vinyl? Do we just make it streamable for now? That's something the band has to discuss.
Yes, it is April, and we have completed our laser etching.
We have etched a new CD for you people.
Yeah.
Are you happy? Isn't this wonderful?
Well, that's kind of a very right now kind of question.
Yeah.
What our band's doing, and I've in fact, we're going to be in a radio station tomorrow in Davis, and I've talked to the kids up there, and I said, well, what are bands giving you? Are they giving you vinyl? Are they giving you CDs? What are they? Oh yeah, they give us CDs. That's our preferred thing. That,
Yeah. There's still a college radio station.
Yeah.
They got CD players.
Yeah, and they like it. They don't like dropping the needle on the vinyl because might
Right.
skip.
However, they are not your record buying public. What's your record buying public doing?
Good. Well, I'm one of the.
That's what we're
buying
after,
records,
right?
and-
So-
yeah, and that's more research
What-
to do there.
What do
it's
we
a
mean
booming-
by records? Right. He buys records.
Yeah.
LPs.
Well, let's say that, okay, if we're referring
albums?
to records as bodies of work that are recorded,
albums.
and then
I would say.
you can you can go into whatever actual media.
Okay, yeah.
So I think when I speak to when I say the word record, I'm thinking about the EP as
The album,
as a
right.
total record, and then what are you going to do with that? If you're going to press CDs with it, you could get cute and make those CDs that are shaped like something.
Like what? I've seen CDs shaped like a donut.
Yeah.
Shaped like what?
Oh, so okay.
CD shaped.
This is a perhaps a lesson for some of our listeners. When a CD is read by a CD player, it's not like a vinyl record where it starts at the outer edge and works its way in. It starts at the inner edge and works its way out. So if you have a limited amount of information, let's say that CD would hold an hour. If you have 6 tracks and that's 30 minutes, you only really need half of the physical space on the CD. So you could cut it into the shape of the sun or a Chinese throwing star or a saw blade because you're not using those outer edges.
Wow.
You could cut it into the shape of you could cut it into a rectangle if you wanted
I would think that would really piss
But
off
a
my CD player.
to. Actually,
It's like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, I don't know that it does. I remember there was a
flying out at you and it stabs you in the neck.
yeah,
Now we got another problem.
and suddenly you have a liability on your hands. So that's another conversation.
I knew I should have moved on from media.
We're going to refer any listeners who have questions about that to the Break It Down Show legal department.
Yeah.
Anyway, the record for for what it is. This episode of the Break It Down Show is brought to you by Lions Rock Productions.
That's us.
We publish, evaluate, and develop podcasts just like this one, consult others to build their own, and create associated content and content marketing strategies.
So if you're launching or expanding your social media presence, your business or your personal brand, or if you just want to take your media presence to the next level,
Reach out to us on Twitter
at Pete A. Turner,
or at JohnLG69.
at the Break It Down Show.
There's 1,000 ways to get a hold of us.
Now enjoy the show.
Can now be consumed in a number of ways. And if you're looking at your audience, how do you think your audience is consuming it?
We'll put it up in as many ways as possible, like we had before. So it'll be up on Spotify and our Bandcamp page.
Yeah.
It's already
Buy
on
it on-
SoundCloud right now, and I even put it on YouTube. It isn't released yet, but I also needed to make it sort of accessible and available to people such as yourself, where I want to say, I want you to be able to hear this.
Yeah.
But, you kind of like to have a birthing, a moment where you're releasing it. So we'll pick a date, and hopefully you get a review to coincide with that, maybe a gig or two or something like that real quick. And
Where are they writing reviews nowadays?
that's my question.
The internet?
Well, you can read all kinds of reviews. It would make a lot of sense to say, well, I want to listen to a band like Dead Cat Hat and see what other people have written about them.
Yeah.
But I don't know where to start.
On the internet,
Yeah.
according to Captain Obvious over here.
The internets,
There we go.
as they say.
Go do it.
Those
Go
hipster
forth and find a
comedians.
review
Yeah.
of some sort of throwback 70s retro funk groove record called Brutalism. Like, well, who's doing that?
If somebody Instagram, YouTube that or whatever you people say, I don't know.
Okay, reviewers. If there are reviewers out there, somebody who's writing a blog about new
Somebody who wants a
releases.
challenge.
Sure. Somebody who wants a challenge.
Review our challenging EP.
Yeah.
It's
Do
called
it.
Brutalism.
It's called Brutalism.
Look up the word.
Do you
and
know what
you'll be like,
Brutalism
wow.
is?
No,
It's an
please.
architectural school. It's a school of architecture.
No kidding.
And it's that 70s kind of big cement blocky stuff you see all over Berkeley, all over the country, in fact. Oh, it's everywhere. But it's that big, ominous, brutal
That's
cement.
called brutalism.
That's brutalism.
And brute.
like that
And this is why.
modern
Here's
sort
why.
of block building with the glass bricks in one corner.
That's it.
Maybe.
And
Not the
that's
glass
called
bricks.
Probably
brutalism.
not the glass bricks. That's a little more deco.
That's more-
Yeah.
But the word brute,
Uh-huh.
I wish I could be looking at my phone and make sure I'm not saying this in a dumb way.
No, we want to
But I'm
challenge
pretty sure brute
Yeah.
is French for concrete.
Okay.
So that's why. That's why. They're made of concrete and they're like,
That's
is
brutalism. It's
brutal
made out
or
of
whatever. I don't know.
concrete.
And then and now we have this word brutal, which is like, The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Somebody gets an arrow in their head while they're trying to talk to somebody.
If you're at
You're
home,
like,
you could
"Oh,
look
that's
it up.
brutal."
You could
Yeah.
look up brutalism. It's all over the
Yeah.
place.
It really makes sense because
We should put
there's
that-
the prairie
CD?
school movement in architecture, and prairie school is the French word for wooden vagina.
Is that right?
Ooh,
No, I'm just kidding.
that's
Oh, wow,
nice.
that's not what I was thinking at all. But yeah, I get it now.
That's kind of like
Boy, those are
the
brutal.
Millennial Falcon spaceship.
Some of
is
these,
kind of
that's not. That is. Is that really?
well. We're looking at
we're-
pictures on the
hey,
on the
everyone.
On the
podcast,
internet.
but
We're
go ahead and
making
look it up.
sounds with our voices and discussing visual things that you cannot see.
But we're really not even discussing them. We're just pointing at them.
Yeah,
going,
Look
that.
at that one.
Ah.
And then
That.
there's that one.
right.
This is, wow.
So yeah,
That's pretty cool.
Google brutalism, somebody.
Yeah, look up some pictures because they're neat.
Okay. Wow.
Was it used
well,
in
all
a
this
movie?
time I didn't know it was an architectural movement. I thought you were sort of covering an Ike and Tina record. Anyway,
Ouch!
Yeah.
too soon.
Domestic violence.
Too soon. Too soon.
Well,
It's very punchy.
we'll follow up this record with a rock record that we've already pretty much finished recording. We're in the process of mixing that, and that might be, I don't know, maybe 6 months or a year from now when we'll have the rock record out. And the rock record will kind of more dovetail with our first record, Station Change.
Yeah.
So we're kind of going all around the bend. We've kind of got our rock record, our country-ish record, our funk, soul, groove record now,
Right.
and then back to kind of a rock record.
Look out for Dead Cat Hat in the year 2027 to release their EDM album. And then their album of big band ballads.
That's right.
Yeah. But 2020,
You never
it's
know
gonna
where
be
we're
so
going to end up. We're all over the map.
I just got out of my time machine and it was pretty awesome, but I can't talk about it.
Oh, I
I
see.
might destroy the timeline.
You
I
went
wish you
forward
hadn't
in your time machine
I
and you
really-
signed an NDA.
I really
and then you
wish.
came back.
I wish you hadn't mentioned the EDM.
Oh.
Because now it probably won't happen.
It stands for something different in 2020.
That's what I was gonna say.
All right. Well, cool.
Good times.
Now, where do you see your band going? What direction? If you have the launch of the record that you like, and you get a review that leads to more radio station play, and you get some college radio stations that are digging the record and playing it, are you guys going to book a tour?
Yeah, more tours. We love to go up to the Pacific Northwest, regional,
Yeah.
kind of,
That's cool.
up and down the coast.
How
It's
do
fun.
you tour?
We got a van,
Sweet.
and we get in it, and we pile all in, and it's elbows to assholes the whole time.
Yeah.
It's the old style, except it's more of a soccer mom van than a
Yeah.
It's
a
black
box
though.
moving van.
It's black.
It's a
but
black.
the most amazing things happen on tour. One of our first tours, we played a show up in Oregon, in the middle of
Farts.
Oregon, someplace. And at the end of the show, somebody
of
invited us to their birthday party, and it turned out there was this birthday party for these guys named Bob. It's like the Bob's birthday party, and it happens every year. And there was about 150 people out there. This whole hippie situation. There's a rainbow festival going on. And, we spent the night with them in their backyard of their house, and these people partying all night and stuff. You just never know what's going to happen on tour. If you keep yourself open to it, you wind up in the kindness of strangers. You wind up in all kinds of neat situations, and it's just fun.
I like a tour that ends up in a big party for a bunch of guys named Bob and hippie chicks.
The Bobs.
I like this story. On these tours, we used to. There was this book. It was called Book Your Own Tour, and it was pretty cool because it described what a tour setup was like for an indie band, which essentially was, here's how you outfit your van, here's how you shelve it out so
Wow.
that you have a place to put your, Fender Twin and it had essentially a 4-piece band set up, a little rack system so that you could fit all your stuff and sleep in the van.
Boy, that's anal.
And then
Yeah,
it had, it was it was a real practical how-to manual.
Yeah.
And then it had a directory. The second half of the book was a directory of all the clubs
And the
across the country
laundromats.
that I don't remember the laundromats. So it was like, you know what? Which one do you go? Okay, bass player's pretty good looking. Your job to land a girl who's got an apartment with her own laundry.
Yeah. The
So-
couches.
and hopefully carpets.
Yeah,
We're
carpets.
sleeping on
Carpets would help.
floors.
But you did carpet the
couches.
shelving so that you could put your amp under the shelf and sleep on top of the carpeted shelf in
Smart.
the van. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But and I'm glad to hear that you guys are still kind of keeping that spirit alive.
Playing is, it's,
Out of
anybody will tell you,
necessity.
playing live is what it's all about. It's fun to make recordings and stuff, and it's fun to reproduce it live. And somehow we managed to do that. We had a trumpet player for about 6 months. He got busy with school, so I guess we could. I'd really like it if we had another trumpet player.
3 trumpet players on the record, did you not?
A couple. Our guy, our bass player is a fabulous trombone player, so he's playing trombone on a bunch of tracks.
You know what I think about the trombone? I love the trombone so much because when you're in a place and the band's loading in, when you see a trombone case, shit just got real.
Yeah.
That's kind of how the accordion was.
Right.
What's that big thing on her back? It's an
Miss
accordion.
Bonnie.
Oh, just you wait, right? So it was like one of those things where when you see that instrument come in, you go, oh, huh, something serious going on here.
Maybe we won't go to that other pub. Maybe we'll stick around here.
Maybe we'll stick around here. But do you
We
find
do have
that
good ginger beer.
it's one thing when you have let's say you have a band and they're playing covers and they got a couple horn players. Mm-hmm. There's a trumpet player, maybe a tenor sax player, and they got a little horn section going.
Yep.
When you add a trombone to that, suddenly it opens up a whole, because now you got a thick ass chord.
Yep.
And people don't accidentally play the trombone. A trumpet you can stumble upon in a pawn shop and go, yeah, I've always kind of wanted to play the trumpet. I'll play the trumpet. And you get a trumpet. And so you get guys who are mildly okay at the trumpet. But a guy who plays the trombone, that's a more physical instrument. It's more of a commitment. If
Slide
you grew
trombone.
up playing a slide trombone, you had to lug that shit home from school. And that requires dedication.
Yep.
So it speaks to a different level of, I think, when a trombone case comes bouncing in the room, you go, oh shit.
Here we
Just
go.
a thought. Just a thought.
While you're saying that, I'm also thinking about Barry sax.
Oh yes,
That's like a
absolutely.
same, like,
If
wow.
a band's got a Barry sax, you're like, holy shit, these guys are serious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, I could probably thumb through my phone and put together 27 quartets that include a guitar player, a bass player, a singer, and a drummer.
Right.
How many bands are you going to come up with a Barry sax?
No, I know.
Right.
One, maybe, if you're lucky.
There's those guys that play on the subway,
Yeah.
like New York or someplace.
Crazy.
Really good.
Really good.
Well,
And yeah, if you got that guy,
But that the trumpet, well, it could be a trumpet or it could be, what's the other one? It's like a bigger trumpet.
Cornet,
Coronet. We had a guy who played trumpet and cornet
flugelhorn.
or flugelhorn, but I think it was a cornet.
how much bigger is the
And
French
a sax.
horn? That's considerably
French
bigger,
horn?
right? Yeah.
It was like a big-
That's the big round thing, yeah.
Yeah, no, it was a cornet.
Okay. And flugelhorn
And a
is
sax
what
and,
Chuck Mangione played.
Yeah, right.
Right.
And trombone, we had that in the swing band I was in, Theoreticats, with my
Okay.
brother. And he was able to arrange those 3 things. So it sounded like a big, giant
giant thing, yeah.
Because he could just
Suddenly having
spread
that,
the notes out or
that
whatever he did. I don't
baritone
understand
voice,
it. That's why I'm a drummer.
yeah, thickened
Like,
the chord.
whatever he did, wow.
That was awesome. Now I'm going to keep hitting this
Bow.
thing with a stick.
You don't need 15 horns.
Yeah.
You need 3.
You need 3.
And you need
three.
those
You need
3.
3 if one of them is a trombone or a Barry sax.
There you go.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
there, music lesson.
So
for
there you
everybody
go.
Today.
You got 4 people in your band. Get some horns.
Also, trombone players out there, Barry sax players out there. Thank you guys and ladies. Also, I will say this: not many things hotter than a chick who plays a trombone or a Barry sax.
I was going to say, especially the ladies.
We know
when
a chick that
takes
plays the
on,
trombone. Do you know who? Jeannie Geiger.
man, I've been trying to drag Jeannie Geiger on this show for so long. Jeannie,
She's a
on,
powerful
Joe.
hitter.
You know what you need?
she's tough to grab though. She's
Busy. She's writing stuff. She's flying around. She's
She
this
is
and that band.
busy. I mean,
just stay at just hang out at Kimball's.
Yeah.
and eventually you'll catch her on the way when she's in town.
Right.
I listen to a podcast, and every time they have an idea for a new show, they have one of those little bells that goes ding.
Here's
And
an
every
idea.
time somebody says like make a great show, ding, you just
Okay.
hit it. Somebody hits it. That's all you need for
All
this
right,
podcast.
that
It's
sounds
awesome.
good. I'll
We-
pipe it in.
We keep on flirting with the idea of having
Making
a
a
podcast,
podcast.
Yeah,
and making a board game, but that's a whole other thing.
A board game.
you should make
That
a
would be so
podcast
cool.
about making a board game. What?
Yes,
What's
or
stopping
the
you?
opposite.
It's too much work.
It's too much work. It took 4 minutes to set
We're going
this
to take
up.
a class with you so you can teach us how to do it.
Yeah, you make this easy.
Okay.
I'm getting more. You noticed like what?
Yeah, you're warmed right up.
35 minutes went away and I didn't say nothing.
Uh-huh.
And
You
that was a
warmed right
double
up.
negative, and I caught myself and I'm like,
That's
how
right.
how dare you say I didn't say nothing?
That's
a
Steve
double
Glover.
negative.
He ain't said shit.
I'm a grammar police guy over here.
Are you a grammar police guy?
Yeah.
You know what really
Nobody's
bugs
saying
me
I'm a
lately?
hypocrite.
Subject-object pronoun disagreement.
Ooh.
I hear it all the time, and I get
It
like,
stabs
hey, come to the store with Pato and I. Oh, that drives me bananas.
Pato and me.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Clunk.
And you know what you do?
It goes
Yeah.
clunk.
You take the other person
Take the other
out,
person out.
and then it makes
You're
sense. Does
still
it
the
make sense?
subject of the
Are you a
sentence.
caveman, or
Yeah,
does it
That's
make
right.
sense?
Yes.
Are you a
exactly.
caveman, or does it make sense? That's what I tell the kids.
It goes clunk on your ear.
Indubitably. Why are
Yeah.
you telling the kids
Good.
this? What makes you tell the kids
I
this?
work with kids in schools.
And
whatever.
you actually are the grammar police.
No,
for the
I'm
kids
just
in
a guy
schools. Okay.
in a classroom going like, no, say
Don't
it
do
like
that, man.
this.
Yeah.
That works.
Here's how you do it and be smooth.
But that sounds weird. Yeah, it sounds weird because you're not used to hearing it.
Right.
But that's how it's supposed to be.
That's how it's supposed to be.
There's a reason.
Trust me, I'm a guy who's comfortable in a suit.
And I know how to wear a man
What kind of
hat.
drumming do you play?
Well, when I was growing up, I listened to a lot of my dad's records, and he's a sax player.
Oh,
So I listened to a lot of T.O.P. I studied with Dave when I was. I love to say I studied with Dave. I took a series
Dave-
of lessons from David Garibaldi, and then he was done with me because I was not nearly serious enough. Because my thing about the drums is I love the drums, and I also love chicks. And so I found out that I could love the drums, and it led to me having more opportunities to love chicks.
it worked like that for you? It didn't work for me with the guitar.
So,
It didn't work with me because I'm really shy.
yeah.
But
Okay.
I'm okay
So,
now.
yeah. So
I got a lady.
tell
so
us
I'm
about
good.
these chicks.
Yeah.
Yeah, so chick number 37.
How does that work?
Mostly I've been married for about 71 years. I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So when you were like a
so-
fetus.
No
you
reason to
were
play
like
drums anymore. Are you playing?
Not
the
much.
field.
Not much. See?
Yeah. No, I'm getting back to it. You know, we raised some kids.
Yeah.
You met my son. And now I've got a little more opportunity to concentrate on the things I really like.
What direction do you go in?
As far as the drums,
Yeah.
I'm a funkster all
Yeah.
the way. All the way.
It's fun.
Ohio Players, Tower Power,
Yeah.
Average White Band.
Yeah.
You can, you know what? You can do.
Go ahead. Perfect.
You can.
Steve
you know
is
what
really
you can
good
do?
at this. Go ahead.
I'm so good at this. You know what you can do with funk is you can play at the same level you would rock, and you sound like, wow, listen to what he's doing. Listen to all the amazing, just laying down the beat. That's all that matters. It's the same for me
Yeah.
with anything, but because I'm all about
He's a slave
that
to the
Ringo.
groove, that Steve Glover.
I'm all about the Ringo.
Yeah.
Like, just put the beat down. And with funk, you can put the beat down and it's not boring ever. It's like always fun. And you get to do crazy stuff.
Well, I don't do that much crazy stuff. While I studied with Dave, I had very profound effects from his teachings, which were quite simple. Play 2 and 4 real hard. Every backbeat is a rim shot. Do not desert that backbeat. That's the most important thing ever. Also, your grace notes come up this high, and your backbeat comes up this high. That's it.
Man.
So he taught a lot of things that were much more subtle and much more complex that I wasn't ready for. But what I was ready for was pay attention to dynamics, serve the groove, and hit that backbeat hard as fuck. Here's the other thing I love, bossa novas.
Oh.
I love bossa nova.
I spent so long making myself learn
Yeah.
the intricacies of bossa nova so that and it translates to so many other things.
It really does.
Where now I can play like this crazy 6/8 thing while I'm playing 4/4 over here.
We do a psychedelic furs song
Yeah,
called
and
Love My Way.
I have to do it
Bossa.
bossa nova.
Yes.
I have to. And it's like what would be the PC way to say it? It's like a white boy.
Mm-hmm.
That's PC, right?
Yeah. You play white boy
It's like
bossa.
a white boy bossa nova. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like Herb Alpert.
What does
No,
that
I'm just
mean
kidding.
exactly?
It means it's not super authentic,
Not as
but it's
groovy?
definitely in the feel.
Well, let's face it. Who's super authentic playing a bossa nova
Sergio
anymore? Yeah,
Mendes.
And guess what? Neither one of us is him. So
right.
let's say
But I try.
that
I'll go
our
for that.
bossa is authentic to us, just the same way as Pato is a material girl.
That's an open.
See how I bring that back? See
Yeah,
how that-
open-mindedness.
yeah.
Callbacks.
The life event that happened to me that made me love the bossa nova, or made me realize my love for the bossa nova, was I was playing in rock bands when I was 18 and enjoying myself tremendously and getting real physical and sweating a lot and had long hair, and we were enjoying the 80s. And then my dad at some point, while he was playing, my dad and my uncle were always busy. And one day he said, and my dad and I did not, when I was growing up, I was a shithead, man. I was an asshole. And my dad was, I didn't get along with my dad because he just wanted me to just behave a little. And one day he called me and said, hey, I had a gig this weekend. You interested in playing a gig? And I was like, I guess. No, not really. But, and he goes, I really need a drummer. Will you do this gig with me? You're not doing anything. And I said, yeah, okay. I'll play with you guys. And he goes, all right, we'll do 1 rehearsal, 2 rehearsals. And I was like, I'm cool. I'll pick it up and I'll make notes and stuff. I'll deliver. Don't worry.
Oh, big shift.
Yeah. So we would go to rehearse, and we had such an amazing time rehearsing because our whole dynamic changed. Because now we were bandmates. He wasn't my dad in that room. He was a guy who heard, hey, you know what? We should really go back to the bridge on this song because that bridge is awesome. And if we do that chorus long enough and everybody's having a good time and they're still dancing, there's no reason why we can't. We could go back to the head if you want. You know, we were peers in the room and we could talk about this stuff and work it out. And that was a whole different, and that's when I learned that my dad was just a dude.
Yeah.
You know, and he loves my mom, but he likes chicks. So we would be somewhere, and we would be driving someplace, because eventually this turned to a long tenure playing with my dad. And my dad we'd be somewhere, and he'd go, ooh. And I'd go, what? And he'd see, there would be a girl like 200 yards away in a trench coat. And I would be like, how on earth did you see that?
And he can see that.
And I learned, like, man, you are an impressive dude.
Through the trench coat, he can see the hot
Oh,
pants.
yes, absolutely. But here's the thing that really happened, because I exaggerate a little. The thing that happened was we went and played that gig, and the gig went well, and it was a great workout for me, and we played a lot of bossa novas, and I thought, man, this is pretty fun. I'm really enjoying this. And then we got paid. And I was like, wait a minute. Is this for the whole band or do I get to keep this? And it was like, you know, here's $120. And I was like, $120?
Yeah.
What are you guys doing next weekend? Oh, we're
Right.
playing another one of these. Oh, and not only that, but this lady right here, this is Gina. She's bringing us prime rib. And I was like,
Oh, yeah,
what
yeah.
the hell? You guys are eating prime rib and getting paid? Do we have to pay for the prime rib?
No. Comped.
So, yeah.
Treat you right.
Suddenly, I was like, hold on, because I'm used to, like, all right, guys, that was great. Thanks for playing. You owe us $31 for the beer.
Oh, God.
And it was like, well, hold on. I thought we were getting $200 out of this. Yeah, you guys drank $231
Yeah.
worth of beer. So, had a great time. Got to know my dad. Got paid. Ate well. And played a lot of bossa novas. So, there's a real sweet spot in
That's
my...
nice.
Yeah.
My dad and I had a thing. My dad played guitar in the Beach Boys for a little while
Wow.
in Burbank.
Huh.
And he was in high school. I was almost getting ready to be born. My mom and dad were in high school. And they called him up, and he was for about 3 months playing around the circuit of high schools.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I was born in 65, so this is a little before that. And when I was a kid, he brought me a bass. And we just would sit in my room and do the blues.
Uh-huh.
And, you know, I was in 6th grade or something. And
But you were making music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we started doing some songs. It got better. We got doing like songs by like the Brothers Gibb. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The original Brothers Gibb.
Yeah, in the late 70s.
Yeah.
We're doing all the funky stuff. How Deep Is Your Love?
No,
that
but
kind of
you guys
stuff.
were playing Bee Gees songs because
Yeah.
they had another life before they were the Bee Gees.
Yeah.
The what are they called? The 60s version of them. The Hollies. No, not the Hollies.
No. They were called.
No, they were the Brothers Gibb.
The Brothers. Oh, okay.
You said it right.
I said it.
Yeah.
They
were
weren't
that.
called the Gibb brothers. They were called the
And they had
Brothers
like an
Gibb.
Australian
The Bee
TV
Gees.
show.
Right.
And they did more, whatever folky is for Australia.
They were 60s.
Yeah.
in the
Right.
60s,
They were a
yeah.
solid thing.
Right.
And then they did the disco thing. My mom started playing piano, and so we would do kind of
It's White Soul.
Blue Eyed
Okay.
Soul.
Yeah, Blue Eyed Soul. That's
Yeah.
better.
All right.
That makes more
But
sense.
yeah, I had the dad thing going on too. That was really nice for us.
Disco.
He still plays bass. He's down in Southern California playing like in a church band.
All right.
He's playing the hell out of his bass and slapping him. Dad, don't slap the bass like that. Nobody
Right.
wants to hear that.
He's dressing like Verdine White. He's got like a pressed afro, and he's wearing a lot of red, shiny suits, platform shoes. Like, how you doing, Dad? You're looking pretty good.
The frilly shirt.
Yeah.
You know, we were talking about drums too.
out.
I don't know if you noticed this. I love buying old 70s albums and putting them on my turntable, and the sound pops out really hard. The toms are huge
Yeah.
on those 70s recordings. You were
Okay.
talking about like the backbeats here and this is there,
Yeah.
and the grace note might be a little more. Those toms are going boom, 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 like harder than anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of that stuff. That's lately I've been noticing
And
a lot of that.
we've been trying to get that sound.
Yeah,
Is that true?
Yeah,
And tuning the
There were a lot of toms
correctly.
back then that didn't have bottom heads.
yeah. Stick the
That's
mic
true.
underneath
And
it.
they
80s.
just stuffed the mic in
80s
there.
style.
Yeah.
Huge.
Stuart
I
Copeland.
wasn't into that sound.
I've seen that.
I didn't dig that
I
sound.
might be thinking about like the Cars.
Okay.
Or even Elvis Costello.
Yeah.
I mean, things are just hitting me left and right. Like, I never realized this growing up. My stereo's a little better now, and I'm just hearing this stuff. That's
Yeah.
like, man, that stuff's there.
We had Stuart Copeland on the show.
I know.
Uh-huh.
Man.
I didn't listen to it yet because
Yeah.
I wanted to
Did
be
you
here
know his
first.
solo music? It's like After the Police?
Yeah. It was
it's-
terrible.
And
I like it.
before,
No, I'm just kidding.
No, it's good.
and before,
No, I did
Yeah,
not
that's right.
When he
The
basically
Clark Kent.
enjoy
invented the
his songs
Hmm.
with the Police. You could always hear the Stuart Copeland song, which admittedly was much better than the Andy
any
Summers song.
other day.
Right. Yes. Miss Gradenko.
Yeah.
He's my hero.
Yeah.
So I was like, there's no way I'm watching your show with him
Yeah.
because I think it was video because you could see it.
No,
Or
we-
at least-
about Clark
or there's a
Kent?
picture.
We did. It was just a picture.
No, okay. So I saw the picture. He put it in the text, and I was like, I'm gonna come here and do this first.
Yeah.
Because
Before
I'll
you
be
listen
way
to that.
too nervous.
Okay, so
if
I
hear
did
my
that show
hero.
with my partner Pete,
Yeah,
and a lot of that show was Pete talking to Stuart Copeland and me going like this,
Wow.
because he's my
His
hero
mouth
too.
was wide open,
Yeah.
and he's just staring.
Which is weird because
Folks.
as far as his playing is concerned, I love his playing, but he was a lot less influential on me than Rick Marotta or than J.R. Robinson, and I didn't have any problem with those guys. But
you
when
just
you're
love it.
in the room with Stuart Copeland, he is a
Yeah.
bona fide fucking rock star.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and everything I ever tried to do on a hi-hat is because of Stuart Copeland.
Right.
He's credited as the hi-hat in the song, I believe it's Big Time on Peter Gabriel.
Oh, is that true?
It just says hi-hat Stuart
Stuart
Copeland. I'm like, of course it's just hi-hat.
Wow.
That's
yeah.
awesome.
Here, just play this.
And
That's all.
I think he did a few of the songs in that, but man.
Sure.
There's always that fight between whose band is it, his or Sting's, or like, he says it's my band.
Yeah.
Yeah, you listen to the earlier, what's the name of the earlier band?
Clark Kent.
Clark Kent.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, this is the Police. It just
Yeah.
doesn't have Sting in it.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
However, when it comes down to could Clark Kent have been a band without Sting, or could the Police have been a band without Stuart Copeland? I don't think that there's a fair way to answer
Well,
that
that's
question
true.
in either direction.
yeah, there's no taking
Fair
any
enough.
of the three
That
people
was a magical moment with a magical recipe, and thank God we
Triangulation.
all got to witness this. This convergence.
Andy did a good job of not getting in the way.
He did a spectacular job.
Very English.
Yep.
And
He was very
playing such
sort of like,
crazy
oh, no,
things.
I wouldn't think of it, And he's-
counterintuitive things. You would just be like, what?
Yeah.
Wow, listen to that.
Yeah, they were so amazing.
He's not just
and not
chunking
one
it
of them.
out.
Even though Sting was and this is what Stuart said to us, because we sort of touched on the subject, And he said, and I didn't want to go in there and go, all right, so Stuart, it's nice to meet you.
Hard-hitting news.
Listen, I hear you were the asshole. Was it you? It was you were the bad apple, right?
How can I
but
make
he
you cry?
admits that, I could have been a little nicer.
Competitive. I think his brother was probably an intense factor in that band.
I imagine so.
And the drums are big in the Police record.
Oh, sure.
They're big.
Yeah,
I think his
they
brother
deserve
had
to
something
be.
to do with that too.
They're 33% of the album.
One of the things that he said was that we were not ever the type of band that had some kind of, structured hierarchy as to how we wrote songs. Whoever had the best idea first was the guy who spoke. And he said, now when I look back, I realize that Sting usually had the best idea first. So,
Fair enough.
Props.
yeah.
Sure.
And then, hey, back off, play the drums, here's your space, and do the hell out of it. And we loved it. And it turns out that they butted heads or whatever, but in the middle of that, they made some fantastic fucking records.
I play bass and sing, and it's a hard thing to do. I pulled my frets out of my bass when I was 15 because of Sting. I mean, I wanted to sound like Jocko, but I didn't want to give up rock music. But when I saw
Sting made it okay.
Playing rock music with a fretless bass, I can do that. I pulled my frets out, and I still have my fretless bass. But he can sing and play the bass, and it's a weird,
Brilliantly.
chewing your gum, walking and talking at the same time type of thing that you learn to do eventually.
Yeah.
Especially Spirits.
Now,
but he also
as
was
a
mellow
guitar
on the
player, playing guitar and singing, that's different because you keep a constant beat. I'd say the same for the drums. It's not that bad playing the drums and singing. Sometimes it gets complicated, but usually if what you're doing is playing eighth notes on the hi-hat and laying on the backbeat, you can sing just fine.
Totally.
But the bass is different.
The bass is different.
It's got a syncopated thing usually.
Right.
It's a little,
you're playing
it's
off
hard.
of stuff. And that's truly doing two different things at the same time.
Yeah.
So,
Right. If I'm in the middle of a crazy drum solo, there's no way I'm singing it.
Okay.
Maybe.
Fair enough.
Just one note. Maybe that's the best I could do.
Yeah. I throw up the horns while I hit that note. Yeah, that'd be good to watch. Anyway, so let's round third base here and say this. You should come back. You should come back.
Yeah.
And we should do this again.
With Jay and Alan.
Love to.
Yeah. And if you decide that you want to produce a podcast, then you should.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We should.
Jeez.
All
Listen,
we gotta
for
do
me,
is-
it's been an amazing excuse to meet all my heroes. And I haven't met them all yet, but come on, I fucking went to Stuart Copeland's house. Who gets the chance to do that? And he did the shit for free.
Hey.
Come on.
Yeah,
So, There you go.
But there's a big commitment there, too. It's another way of performing. And
Yep.
people might get the idea that it's just easy to do, but I don't think it is.
Yeah.
I think there's a
Probably
lot that's
not.
behind it.
You got to have an idea.
Okay. I'll let you
And
know
that's
when
what
I get
we're-
one.
That's what we're looking for.
Commitment.
Well, your
certainly have
idea
that.
is conversations.
Yep. That's true.
We have an issue of talking over each other. Well,
I haven't experienced that
not
issue
us
this
two,
evening.
but
Yeah. No, I think you could
me and Alan
play it
we
correctly.
talk over each other.
You and Alan talk over each other. Okay.
And I just talked over you.
So I usually do this show. My two co-hosts are Pete Turner and Mark Valley. And I don't do a ton of shows with Mark because he's launching a podcast of his own, which is a different subject. And I hate doing podcasts with that guy, man. He's so good looking that I even get his. Anyway,
But it's audio.
it is audio.
And
but
you've got such a great voice.
there's a dynamic that happens when he walks into a room and all the he's a chick magnet. And I'm like, you know what? I got a great voice and these bitches can't even hear it. Anyway, the problem is, the thing I was going to point out though was that when we started doing this show, it was just Pete and myself. And Pete has a great way of counterbalancing. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times when we get a guest, we will triangulate on the guest. And that's fun. And I think that that's what you guys will figure out real fast.
Mm-hmm.
and hand signals.
Yeah, that too.
We should get some hand signals.
signals, yeah.
What does this mean? Or what does that mean?
Yeah.
Or what does that mean? Or what does that mean?
Right.
I just didn't know.
Or this thing, 2:00.
The fourth, what does that mean? I did nothing. But they don't know that.
Right. Or you did something under the table. Anyway,
Right.
I want to say
Thump to the knee.
for everybody who's out there who wants to check out the Dead Cat Hat EP, get it on, we don't know what yet.
Yeah.
But definitely in SoundCloud, definitely in Spotify, definitely on iTunes.
All the usual
probably. All the
places.
usual places, yeah.
Our website, deadcathat.com, will have links.
Maybe CDs shaped like a cat.
Yeah.
It's
And,
called Brutalism.
It is called Brutalism, and it can be brutal. So,
Yeah. And
Steve,
it can
thank you.
It can also be ism.
Pato, thank
It's
you.
been an honor. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
And
it's been great, man.
Really, kind of a big deal for us to be on your show with some of the other
I'll
guests
cut it
you've
out.
had. and
You brought
he's
beer.
Kind of embarrassed to be here.
You brought beer.
And water.
Anyway, thanks, guys.